Hi, I'm Sergio Paulo, and thank you for taking the time out of your day to hear me out on this ministry opportunity. Back in 2019, God very clearly called me out of leading worship in Denver into living in a small town called Rye in southern Colorado. It's an area of about 5,000 people with a ton of church culture. When you meet somebody, they'll shake your hand and say, "Hi, nice to meet you. What do you do? Where do you go to church?" It's part of the church culture that exists here. However, sadly, only about 8% of the people living in this area actually attend a church regularly, and most of that happens to be the LDS church. 3.5 years ago or so, I felt led to get back into worship, but the church I was and am still at didn't have the funds to have a worship guy around, although they did have the desire for it. So the head pastor and I came up with this pretty unique plan to raise support so that they could afford to have a worship guy around. And I tried to raise enough support to cover all of it, but I fell short. And the church ended up funding the rest of what we needed so that we were able to just do this thing. And as the support waned, the church kept kicking in the extra. And 3 years on, the experiment has gone really well. God has been praised. People are growing closer to Jesus. The infrastructure is sound. God's people have been raised up. I hope God is pleased with the efforts we've made and the progress we've seen. I've been particularly happy to see individuals on the worship team open up, receive healing from God, and develop in their personal and musical capacity. So excited. It's really cool. The church salary though cannot continue to cover the gap, mainly because the church's budget relies heavily on rental income. The church is a big building. They bought the old high school from the town, and they turned in some of the parking lot into an RV park that they'll rent out. And the RV rental income made up about half of the church operating budget. And for years, the RV park was operating between 80 and 100% full all the time, so that income was pretty stable. And then steel mill did some weird contract stuff, and so we lost lots of renters. And for the last 2 years, we've been operating at about between like 20 and 50% full, which was a big gut punch to the budget. So the new plan going forward is the church to pay $2,000 a month, me to raise $2,000 a month in support, and then tent make for $2,000 a month, which would total what my family needs to get by. And this is honestly a newer budget from what was originally, when we originally put this stuff together, it was pre-pandemic, pre-inflation. I think 2 kids ago or 1 kid ago. Either way, I'm currently halfway to my goal of reaching $2,000 per month in support, which means I'm looking for about 10 more people to support at around $100 a month. You know, if you did choose to come on and support the ministry, the money would go to the church. It would be made out to Table Mountain Church. However, all of those funds do come directly to this ministry, even though that church has other ministries and other programs. The money that's designated comes to this specifically. The going through the church thing is great because then everything's above board. It's also, there's tax benefits for those who have tax liability. In terms of the other money, the tent making money, for the last at least 2 years, God has been calling me loudly into making original music, which I found really scary, to be honest. I've been relying heavily on Exodus chapter 14 and just in general, the Exodus itself, to walk forward and trust God to take steps in that direction. And through lots of the guys discipling me and mentoring me and just industry experts in general, I've decided to start looking into something called sync licensing. It's where I'm basically trying to sell songs to the film industry, like Netflix, video games, ads, anything like that. My goal is for those songs to be a light in a dark place, in a dark industry, really. I know there's some bright lights like The Chosen. There's all kinds of cool stuff starting to happen, but for the most part, Hollywood hasn't really been a very loving place, I guess. I don't know. And one of my goals with all of that is to be able to pull in enough from that to not need support anymore. So as you pray for my family in general in all of this, pray that the sync stuff gains enough wheels to where I don't need support anymore, and for us to just get by. well, I guess the first goal is get by and then not need support anymore, and hopefully grow from there. But then the other one to pray for our family is that we would actually get that support that we need, the other $1,000 a month, that we can find that somewhere. And the third prayer request is for a vehicle. We just had a fourth kid, so there's 6 people in our family, and all our vehicles have 5 seat belts, which is pretty cumbersome. If you're going to pray for Table Mountain, pray for the RV park to fill up. That would be awesome. Pray the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into his harvest. So pray about it and let me know if you are interested in supporting the ministry. It would be beneficial for me to know that. You can hit me up in the description, Sergio Paulo Worships at gmail.com. There's instructions in the description on how to fill out the checks and the apps and all that stuff, just to make sure it all goes to the right church in the right place and it comes in. Pray about it and let me know. I hope you guys are well. Thank you so much again for checking this out. Take it easy. Bye-bye.